Hello and welcome to RPA Fridays, number 24. This time we will be working on a sample UiPath project that I called Data Validation Through Email. It's a sample name for a more complex project that I want to today show you. So simply, just shortly about me, I'm Roman, you probably know me. I'm from Robot ICT, a company that focuses on automating every process possible. So I'm there to show you some cool use case of robotic process automation using a tool called UiPath. And this time we will be working on a UiPath project, meaning that will be a kind of bigger thing. Because recently I was showing you always pieces of what you can do, some activities, packages, and some stuff. And this time I would like to demonstrate how to build a little bit more complex process. And as you can see there, I'm showing you the diagram for it and also simple description. So what is it about? So imagine a user sends an email to a special robot user mailbox, an Outlook account dedicated to that user. And the robot picks up the message, an email, and checked for the attachments in that email. And if there are any Excel file attachments, he will perform validation of the files. We will reuse one of the component. Let's say this what I was showing in RPA Fridays number 22. So 2 weeks back, I was showing you how to do a validation of an email. So, and then the robot will send back the report or exception messages. So this is the workflow. And I just wanted to mention that if you will have any questions related to this and you want to ask me anything, feel free to ask me in the comments. Since this one I'm busy, so this is pre-recorded, but I will go back to answer your questions later. Anyway, the first initiating point is that there is some email for the robot and robot picks that email. Checks if there are any attachments. If there are no attachments, the robot will reply with some message, hey guy, well, you sent me an email with no attachments, so I have no job to do. If there are any attachments, then the robot in this yellow box will perform certain action with each attachment. First of all, it will check if it's an Excel file, and if no, the file will be ignored. I will show you how to do it in the activity save attachments, because we can actually have a filter there. Then if it is .xlsx file, it will perform the validation, and by perform validation, I just put a single box there. I mean the thing that we learned 2 weeks ago to validate the data based on some criteria. Okay, just some workflow, some process, let's say, will be running there. And if everything is fine or there is nothing wrong, anyways, the robot will reply with an email stating the report. If there are any mistakes, we'll say, okay, on this exact cell, in this exact coordinates, there is a problem, and you gotta go and solve it and then send it back for another validation if you wish. And it will attach the report. So let's take a look at it, how to do it. So first of all, maybe shortly about the validation. That was this part that's already ready. I will just rebuild the data and I will reuse it in a way that I can create a separate workflow that I will invoke later. So it's a sample of validation of XLSX file where we read data and we are going through each row, checking for certain columns like date, user description, error code, and result, if it's okay or not. I can actually show it to you. So this is how it looks. There are some columns and rows with some data, and we 2 weeks ago we set up some validation rules for them, and the robot will go and validate every Excel sheet that will come, and we'll expect to receive such formats. I'm not including checking if there is any further error other than the validation error. So eventually, if you wish to go further with this and you want to implement further check, then it will be cool to enclose all the activities in some try-catch and check in case there is any inconsistency with the format or with the headers, right? So that's it. That's one thing. Let's start with an empty project where I first want to read the Outlook mail messages. So I will search for activity get Outlook mail messages and edit. And in this activity, I want to set up a few things. First, the account, I can leave it blank. Then the second thing is the mail folder. For the purpose of this project, I'm using a separate folder that I created in my mailbox that is called project. And as you can see already, some testing emails are waiting there. So project, right? Project. Then also I can filter blah 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 and so on, but I will leave this as it is, and I will also leave it like this one, so I will not do any more setup there. I only want to extract the messages to messages. So I'm saving the messages to a variable I called messages. That's pretty straightforward. And now I will use basic for each activity. That's how I like to do it. There are also other activities, by the way, for each email and for each file, blah blah blah, and so on. For each email from the integrations, Gmail and Outlook activities. But for this, you need to use Gmail or /Outlook scope, and it has a different setup. You can also access other activities, but I like to do these things simpler, so I'm not getting lost in anything. So for each email. And let's also give it a name, mail, and here will be messages. Okay, or could be a message in messages if you want to follow some standard. And now just recall this. And I would almost forget to change the. Oops. I would almost forget to change the type argument to type argument called mail message. Mail message is this one, system.net.mail.mail message. Okay, so that's like one thing, and I need to rename this. And now what I want to do with each email. So first of all, I want to create a folder for it. So imagine you're working, validating a lot of data, and you want to that the robot will actually download the data before it can download the attachment before it can search them. So in order to save the attachment somewhere where I don't have to care about duplicities and about if somebody will send a same file with the same name and so on, and I also can keep some track on what has been done and what checks were performed, and I can keep some history. I want for each case, saying for each email, create a folder and save the files in that folder. So I already have the empty folder called data here. And to this folder, I want to create new folder per each email. So for this, I want to just assign a new variable called folder name, because I will use it again, folder name. And the folder name of folder, will be constructed from the current date and time. So it will go like this: date now dot toString, and now the format of the date, which will be YYY, big double M, small double D, and then HH, MM, these are hours, minutes, and the last thing will be seconds, and these small F and F means these are portions of seconds. So even if my robot will be super fast, it should be genuine and unique. Or you can add some random number if you wish. It's just like about, also the folders will be ordered nicely, and you will see some history. So this is a nice way how to do it actually if you want to save some data. I think it's a cool thing. Then I need the activity save attachments, which already I have in recent because I was dealing with that. Here I have to provide the mail. That's like from what message I want to take it. And here the last thing is where I want to save those attachments. So here I will go with the folder data / plus folder name, and that should be fine. And I also want to perform some filter. To filter the attachments, if I want to save just once, I'm using this filter option, and it tells me that it represents a regular expression that is verified against attachment file names to be saved. So a regular expression, right? So I need to do this, and little trick, let's see this. So using this trick, I'm getting anything with the appendix or the ending extension, with the extension .xlsx with small letters or big letters. It's pretty simple. So this should only give me Excel sheets from the email, and I will save this or output this to attachments variable. Right, and now when I have the attachments, and the attachment variable is just an enumerable of strings, right? So it contains paths to those attachments. So where it is saved, it doesn't contain the files themselves. I can use these to open them and loop through them. But first of all, I want to check if there are actually any attachments, right? That was our first check. So if there are any attachments, this check. So let's take a look at it. Okay, here. I will need to use an if condition, just there, and ask if attachment dot count is larger than 0. So if there is at least one, if at least one attachment, and I know that it will be XLSX file because I filtered them before. So because the else branch is shorter, I will start working on that one. So no attachments, and I only want to log it using a log message. That's a good practice to always, when you have a decision branch, to as a first thing to put a log message. So once you're running it unattended and you are checking it from orchestrator, you can see where the logic went. So no suitable attachments to check. Okay, right, easy. And now I want to reply back to the sender. So I will use send Outlook message, send Outlook mail message activity, this one. And two, so I'll keep it open like this. So if I want to send the message back to the sender, then I will use mail dot sender dot toString. To subject, I can think about anything like error, no suitable files to validate, and the body can be something like please provide me with XLSX file. Okay, so this is a fallback in case there are no attachments. So now is in case there are any attachments, at least one attachment. I want to loop through them because there can be more of them. So I will make the robot quite bulletproof, and I will use again a for each. And this time the type argument I will change will be a string. And for each attachment, I'm giving activities nice descriptions. So later, if I look at this code, I know what's going on. And also this temporary variable item, I will change to attachment in attachments. So it's nice and neat. So, and here I want to just maybe rename it to do with each attachment. Nice. And what I want to do is to also, by the way, log that this is happening. So I will log the name of the attachment. So let's say starting validation on, and now the file name. So that's attachment. That's the path to file. So now it's getting a little bit more stacked, but we are not getting lost because we're looping through each mail. Here on each mail, I'm checking if there are any attachments. And if there are any, I'm looping. If there's, of course, just one attachment, it will do just one for each, just one loop in this for each. By the way, the for each activity itself is pretty cool. So you better use it. Now I want to actually work with some variable that I want to create on this scope that will be called result. And here I want to store the result of the validation. So I want to create some kind of log messages for the email, for the answer, for the reply for the email. So I want to put a sign here on the last part to have result. Then in case something is already there, then I want to have result plus, and here the same message like here. Okay, there you go. Result will be result plus starting relationship and the new line, but relative. Yeah, that's a shortcut for a new line. So it will create a new line in the end. So assign add result. Okay, that's still like playing around and nothing really happening. Now let's do the validation. So I have the validation from last RPA Fridays 22, and that's this one. So I want to just take all this thing and create actually a new file and paste it inside. So inside our new project, I want to create a new file, new sequence. It will be a new sequence, and let's call it validate file, whatever. And to the validate file, I want to clear it and make it empty. I want to copy this whole content of the project, so of RPA Fridays 22. We can also rename it that it's validate file X RPA Fridays 22, and I will do some certain changes because the workflow, as you can see, as hard-coded. The file part is hard-coded. So I wanted to do first change will be to change the path to a file, and I will pass it using arguments. And also, if there will be any results, I want to pass it using arguments out. So I will have a one in argument and one out argument. So I'll go ahead and create argument. So in file name and out result, and direction will be out. Now once I save this, and before I will go back, I want to already rewrite this to in file name, so it's ready, and I will get back to the out resulting. But I want to first set it up here. So I will just drag and drop the file here in the next place, and you see that it automatically created the invoke validate file workflow, and I can import the arguments in file name out result. In the in file name, I will put attachment. So I want to pass the one attachment, and here in out result, I will create a new variable like one file result that I will then later add to the full result. So let's finish this scope, and here I need then add to the full result. So result is the variable where I'm storing all the results. I want to just add to it, so result plus one file result. The result from the validation of the file. You will understand soon what I'm up to. So in the validate file, reading the data and performing the for each, going through the rows, which is cool. And then if there's any error, I'm marking this in red. So I want to add one more new thing to it, and I want to add to each of these check a message edit to the result variable, or to the result argument. So what I will do, out result, is that I will actually add a sign activity here under each of these checks. So, and on the left side, there will be out result, and on the right side, I want to prepare some nice little hint for the user so he knows what to validate. So I will use the range from the set range color, so the person knows where is the problem, and then add the message, which will be in this case, not sure, date has to follow this format, right? So the message will be date has to follow format and the new line as a good practice. So, and this is it. This will be add to result any error, and this I will reuse for the other the other three validation checks. So let's do it. I will only change the coordinates, and of course, I will only change the coordinates and of course the error message. So what's wrong with this? So user description cannot be empty. So this is how it should look like by one of the checks. So that was validate file, and now when it's validated and I know the result and I also pass it through the arguments out, the last thing I want to do is to send an email with the information and with the result. So I'm not gonna do it in for each attachments. I will do it below here. So I will use send Outlook mail message again. 2 will be mail.sender.toString, and subject will be validation is ready, and here will be your validation results. Then maybe new line, and then the result variable that is not in the scope, so I need to actually widen the scope, make the scope wider. I guess here it's fine. Good. And this is how it should work. So let's maybe take a look at it from top bottom. So we get the mail messages from a folder, looping through the messages, then creating a new folder, saving the files inside the folder, and then checking if there are any attachments. If there are no attachments, I'm sending an email back with some info. If there is at least one attachment, looping through the attachments and running the validation file, the validate file workflow, which will perform the validation on the file that I'm passing through the input arguments and getting the out result out of it, storing the out result into a local variable one file result, adding it to the final result, lot of results, and sending it. So this is how it should work. And if I was correct, if I did everything right, this should now work and I should receive 2 validation informations, 2 new emails. So let's do it. You can check this diagram whilst it's working and doing something. So you can see it's actually opening email. The Excel is open twice. So one email has 1 attachment, a second email has 2 attachments, just to add some variety. And now I should be able to receive, I will receive the results. Oh, there it is. That's the first one. As you can see, this is the one that belongs to 2 files. And this is the other one that I only sent 1 file. So as you can see, there is one validation result, there is another validation result. Both contain the coordinates and the errors. So this is the validation project. That's the end. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments. I hope you loved this use case. It's actually a real world scenario, and I hope you will be happily performing similar actions in UiPath and you will be fine. So that's it. Thank you for your attention. And if you want to download this workflow, you can do it from the first link in the video description. You can also check our Robot ICT community forum, where we share some knowledge, and also you can find some RPA challenges for you to try. And if you like RPA Fridays, feel free to subscribe to this channel and watch other videos, because this is already number 24, so there are a lot of videos about topics you might be interested in. So thank you again for watching, and I wish you happy automation.